Hey guys, I'm Becky, welcome back to my channel. Last week I spoke to you a little bit about how to get into music production in 2020. I went over 5 things that you would need to get started. So today I just wanted to continue on from that, highlight some other things that you're going to encounter if you do go into music production. Just try and teach you guys a little bit about what to expect. But before that, I do want to point out that I do stream on Twitch Wednesdays, Saturdays and Sundays over on my Twitch channel. So if you want to come and say hello, feel free to stop by. The link will be down in the description below. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to speak about is music theory. And what music theory is the technicalities behind music. What makes music sound good? What makes it sound appealing to the ear? Like you might hear some chords that may not sound as nice as others, and that's because the notes clash. Sometimes this can be used in a stylistic way to add like emotion or a feeling to a piece of music, but most of the time a song would be written in a particular key, and if you stick to that key, then the notes kind of work in harmony with each other. Definitely have a look on YouTube and online for music theory basics. It would be really good to just clue yourself up about them. Now, music theory can get a bit complex, but you don't need to know all of it to start out with. It's just, I think it's important to know the basics. Definitely look at song keys and also chords. They're both quite important, and getting started with music, you're going to be using both. But I have found a really good video that gives you music theory basics in 30 minutes, so it's a quick lesson. I'll post it down in the description below, so I think it's a really good video to learn from and teach you. So another thing you're going to encounter when you open up your DAW for the first time is something called plugins. Now, what is a plugin? A plugin is essentially a piece of software that runs inside your DAW. Some of them can work outside of the DAW as well, but let's not complicate things. Now, you can get different types of plugins, and they come in a few different formats. You've got VST, VST3, AU, AAX and RTAS. There may be more, but I think those are the main ones. Now, that's just kind of like the file extension of a plugin. You know how in picture files you might have a .jpeg or a PNG file? It's kind of similar in that sense. It's the kind of wrapper of the plugin. Now, certain DAWs run different formats of plugin, so it'd be good to just do your research. Depending on what DAW you've got, just figure out what plugin format your DAW uses. So you've got 2 different types of plugins. You've got instrument plugins and effects plugins. So with instrument plugins, you're going to be looking at synthesizers and instrument plugins that re-emulate real instruments like violins and things like that. They all kind of come under the base of synthesizers. And then you've also got effects plugins. So these are the plugins that will alter the sound of your original recording or instrument track. So you could get plugins like EQ, compression, reverb, delay, distortion. I don't know, the list goes on. I'm not going to go into what each one of those does today, because that video would be it would be too long. Another thing you're going to hear time and time again is a synthesizer. So what is a synthesizer? Essentially, a synthesizer is an instrument. You can find it within your DAW as a plugin, or even an actual physical synthesizer. If you've watched any of my previous videos, I actually got my first ever synthesizer the other day, or the other week, the Korg Minilog XD. So I've actually got a demo video of that if you did want to check it out. So these come in 2 types. You've got digital and you've got analog. I don't know exactly the ins and outs of how synthesizers work, but they create sounds with different parameters that you can adjust and change to get the sound that you want. This could be anything from a bass sound, it could be like a lead in like a chorus, it could be a bell. It could be anything, you know. You can go in and change these things yourself. But if you do open up any of your plugins in your DAW, most of them will most likely have presets that you can start off with and then tweak to your liking. That's a good way to start out if you're really not sure how to create your own synth sounds, but there are loads of YouTube videos. I'd say it's definitely worth looking up tutorials on how to use a particular synthesizer that you can find in your DAW. There's a lot of free ones, but I personally use a lot of paid for ones as the ones I use I really like. I'm currently using Native Instruments Massive. I use Serum and FabFilter Twin 2. I'd say they're my 3 most used synthesizer plugins. But there are free plugins you can also use, so I'll link some of them up in the description below if I can find some for you to just try out. A good starting pack is the Native Instruments Complete. That's a good free starting pack. It will have some instruments that you can get started with. But I'll post some good YouTube videos just giving you the basics of what a synth is. It will talk you through what each kind of parameter is, just to give you a better idea of how they work. For plugin effects, some of my favourite brands of plugins to use for effects is FabFilter. I absolutely love and swear by FabFilter. Their EQ plugin is fantastic. Their reverb, delay, their de-esser is great, compressor's great, everything. Whoa, my voice. Everything they do, I just love. I just think they all sound great. So definitely have a look at those. Waves do hundreds of plugins, and there's some really good ones on there. They do a lot of sales, as some of them do sound better than the inbuilt plugins that you'll find in your DAW. Another thing you're probably going to come across is sampling. Now, sampling's been used for years and years and years, but it's basically taking a snippet of a recording and taking that snippet and then using it yourself in a song, but you may kind of alter it in some way. Finding samples is pretty easy. You could do an online search, free sample pack for said music genre, because there's a lot of free stuff out there, and these sample packs might have presets that you can load up into your synths. It could have a variety of drum samples like kicks and snares and claps and things. And actually, speaking of drums, Native Instruments Battery has loads of drum samples. It's got everything you could ever need, and I use that quite a lot. There is a website called Splice. This is used across the board by hundreds of thousands of musicians. It has got everything you could possibly want on there sample wise, and it also has plugins, so that it does offer some plugins where you can pay monthly across the course of like a year rather than paying upfront. A lot of plugins are pretty expensive, so Splice is pretty good that it offers that. It's not for all plugins, but it's some. Hopefully that's going to give you a bit of insight of what you're going to encounter when you open up your DAW. I've got some resources down below that should give you some information about each of the things we've spoken about today, and I'll also link up the plugins that I've mentioned, as well as any free plugins that I know of and use myself. There are free ones out there. Some of them are very good, and some of them aren't so good, so it's definitely trial and error, but I'll post up the ones that I've used and that I still use now. So that's it from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please remember to like and subscribe, and drop a comment below if you have enjoyed it, or if you found this video helpful, or if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer these. And if you do want to speak to me off of YouTube as well, I do have a Discord server that you're more than welcome to join. The link will be down below. And yeah, I guess I will catch you guys next time. Bye!